Welcome to TRT World from beautiful Slovenia. I am Semir Sejfovic, and in this week's Across the Balkans, we bring you the latest stories from the region and how countries, governments, and the population are affected. At the 2025 Bled Strategic Forum in Slovenia, global leaders, EU officials, and human rights representatives gathered to confront pressing international issues, with a sharp focus on the deepening humanitarian crisis in Gaza and the broader question of Palestinian self-determination.
I'm not here to compare the dehumanization of millions under Nazism and fascism, leading to the Holocaust and other crimes against humanity. Far from it. But I must say this. The world condemned the Srebrenica genocide and brought its perpetrators to justice. Why then, only 3 decades later, do some politicians tolerate, even defend, the Israel's genocidal policy against Palestinians in Gaza?
So this isn't about defeating Hamas. This isn't even about defeating the two-state solution. As far as Netanyahu is concerned, that ship sailed long ago. This is about the physical removal and annihilation of the Palestinian people, a second Nakba.
We must be unequivocal. International humanitarian law applies to all parties. We are deeply concerned by actions that threaten the viability of a future Palestinian state, particularly the expansion of settlements in the West Bank and the ongoing displacement in Gaza.
In Ljubljana, a silversmith keeps an ancient craft alive, shaping metal into memory. Gökçen Ardic tells his story.
Ljubljana is one of Europe's smallest capitals. But it's full of stories, etched into stone, forged in metal, and whispered through myth. Here dragons guard bridges, and artists are shaping tradition. This city is where the past and present constantly meet. Just beyond its bridges lies Zlatoruna, a small workshop where precious trinkets and ornaments are handmade. For over 3 decades, Christoph Steidl-Porenta has worked to preserve a dying craft, and he is now the last silversmith in Slovenia, still working entirely without any modern machinery.
I'm a goldsmith and silversmith. I have now this workshop for more than 35 years. We work here all from the beginning to the end with our hands. No? Mostly we work, of course, jewels, small stuff like earrings, pendants or something like this, but also bigger parts, bigger stuff like chalice for the church or some sculptures. Time changed. Today mostly it's work with computers or with printers or something like this. It's a problem. I'm here in Slovenia the last silversmith, which means that I make really bigger stuff in silver. I hammered all this. The old techniques are complicated. You need a lot of time to learn the old techniques. And it's very important that you know the old techniques and you are the master of the old techniques, because then you can work what you want.
The process is as meticulous as it is meditative. Each piece begins with a vision, not just about the shape or scale, but about the story. Christoph draws inspiration from everything around him, including the symbols that have long defined this city.
Mostly I got the ideas from the nature, from the history. I got inspirations from all around me, also from political stuff for some sculptures or something like this. No? So at first I make the decision if I want to work with stones or without stones. We're cutting also here the stones by ourselves. And then what for material? Here we work only with sterling silver, 18 karat gold, platinum, titanium, and all different materials. And then you have to sit down and to work.
And in Ljubljana, no symbol is more iconic than the dragon. Woven into the city's mythology, it also finds its way into Christoph's creations, transformed from folklore into form.
You can find the dragon everywhere in Ljubljana, on the bridge, on the sign of the castle, and all. No? Wherever you look, you can find the dragon. For me, the dragon also very, very important. And I like to work dragons in all sizes, from very small dragons to very big dragons. So that's, of course, a point here from Ljubljana, and it's very impressive. No? The best of them is nobody saw a dragon before, no? So you can work what you want.
With no formal goldsmithing schools left in Slovenia, this workshop has also become a classroom, a place where ancient techniques are passed from master to apprentice, and where careers are often forged in unexpected ways.
I come from a very technical family, so I was studying biology and biotechnology. And while I was doing my master's in biotechnology, I needed a creative outlet. A family friend said that there is a goldsmith in Ljubljana that sometimes takes on apprentices. So I packed all of my little stuff in a little box, and I went to Chris and said, could you teach me some more, because I want to know more. And he said that, yeah, sure, but it needs to be your profession. So I just finished my master's, and then I decided to go in a completely different direction, so now I'm a goldsmith. It sounds a little bit medieval when I say that I'm an apprentice, because who even does that? It's really important to have a master to guide you along the way, so you can hopefully go on that path alone in some time.
Christoph's mentorship places much emphasis on technique and pushing each apprentice to discover new limits for their creativity.
I wanted to make something still aesthetically pleasing and beautiful, but something that has a function as well. So I came here and found my mentor Christoph, and he taught me that there is a lot of functionality in art as well. Some pieces can also be just beautiful, and it's more in the just finding different techniques. We learn by shadowing. We watch him closely, and we try to figure out all of his, how he uses his tools, his posture when he does stuff, everything, every single detail, and the creativity is something that comes from us. So a whole process, yes.
At Zlata Runo, a piece of jewelry is never just decoration. It's memory, myth, and meaning forged in metal. In a city where stories are part of the streets, this atelier gives you the rare chance to carry one with you.
Even after decades, Christoph continues to learn and evolve with every piece.
Every day when I went in my workshop, I learned something new. For me, goldsmithing is not a job, it's not a part of my life. Goldsmithing is my life. Every day you have something new in your hand, what is wonderful. But it's not only wonderful, it's also difficult, because you need to find the way. No? So you learn every day something new.
In a world moving ever faster, Zlata Runo moves at the pace of tradition. It's where metal is shaped by memory and meaning is passed from hand to hand. Gökçen Ardıç, TRT World, Ljubljana, Slovenia.
Once at the heart of Europe's refugee crisis, Greece now faces renewed arrivals on its island. The government's asylum ban has reignited debate.
A holiday on the visually captivating Greek island of Crete comes with pristine golden beaches and the glossy glimmer of the seas. What you might not expect to see are boatloads of refugees and migrants who've struggled to reach ashore, evading the dangers of travelling in mostly overloaded boats. It's a stark contrast that has alarmed tourists here, bringing home the human reality of a crisis that countries like Greece have been grappling with for years.
They come about 420 people, and they come and they set them down, and they don't have to stay up, they have to stay down. And we are lying on the beach there, and it was very strange for us. I think there are 50, 60 people in one such a boat. I can't imagine it.
Greece has been at the forefront of receiving hundreds of thousands of refugees and migrants from the Middle East, Asia and Africa. In 2015 and 2016, more than 1 million people arrived in the European Union from Syria and other countries, either to escape war and persecution or gain economic prosperity. The number of refugees and migrants trying to reach Greece's mainland has decreased since then, but pressure is building on its islands. UN data shows sea arrivals to Greece dropped by 5.5% to 17,000 in the first half of this year. But more than 7,000 refugees and migrants reached Crete and the island of Gavdos, Greece's southernmost island, since the beginning of the year, marking an almost 50% increase compared to 2024. The recent rise in migrant crossings from Libya to Greek islands, especially from Tobruk to Gavdos and Crete, is prompting questions on whether this route is becoming a key corridor for refugees and migrants from the Middle East, North Africa and South Asia, including those fleeing conflict in Sudan.
Η Κρήτη έχει γίνει πλέον η νέα οδός μεταναστευτικών ροών και τις τελευταίες μέρες βιώνουμε τη χειρότερη κρίση, θα έλεγα, αυτών των 2 ετών, με εκατοντάδες μετανάστες να αποβιβάζονται στα νότια παράλια της Κρήτης. Όλο αυτό το βάρος έχει μεταφερθεί στις πλάτες των στελεχών του λιμενικού σώματος, χωρίς την απαραίτητο εξοπλισμό και ανθρώπινο δυναμικό που θα προβλεπόταν για αυτές τις ροές.
Last month, the country took drastic measures by stopping the processing of asylum requests for migrants arriving from North Africa for at least 3 months, much to the protestation of human rights groups. The Greek Council for Refugees slammed the move, saying, "The right to seek asylum and protection from refoulement are fundamental principles that may never be restricted." Both are enshrined in international and EU law instruments that supersede any domestic legislative provision. Greece has denied any wrongdoing, but said it could extend the ban if numbers increase. The ban has so far resulted in a huge decline in arrivals to Crete, with Reuters reporting that the drop was from over 2,600 in the first week of July to just 900 in the entire period since. This comes after the EU Migration Pact was adopted last year. It aims to create stricter procedures for asylum seekers at its border. It's set to come into force in June 2026. The head of an influential EU-funded migration advisory body urged the bloc to further bolster expulsions of rejected asylum seekers under the pact.
Ich glaube, dass es sehr wichtig ist, dass auch im Sinne des Pakts eine gut funktionierende Rückkehrpolitik etabliert ist. Und das hat auch sehr viel mit der Akzeptanz der Bevölkerung zu tun. Wenn jemand registriert, jemand kommt, bekommt kein Asyl und bleibt aber dann trotzdem und es passiert eigentlich nichts, ist das ein sehr schlechtes Zeichen, auch für Rechtsstaatlichkeit, auch für die ganzen Instrumente eines Staates, für die Akzeptanz. Daher muss da was passieren, das ist keine Frage.
Greece's short-term ban might have so far slowed down arrivals to its coastlines. But with the hope of safety carried by refugees and migrants by sea, it remains to be seen if policy will influence the tide of aspiration. Adam Imunu across the Balkans.
On Dugi Otoka Island, Semir Sejfovic has spent decades as a lighthouse keeper. For him, this is a way of life and a personal calling.
The island of Dugi Otok in Croatia has a population of just 1,500 people. On it stands the Velirat lighthouse. Built in 1849 during Austro-Hungarian rule, it is the highest in the Adriatic, towering at 36 meters above land and 42 above the sea. 62-year-old Semir Sejfovic has watched over it for the past 24 years.
Radar Velirat, dobro jutro Mateo, novoga ništa, svjetla zgorla ispravno, puše east, south east, 1 do 3 čvora, more 1, vidljivost 25 km i vedro.
His days begin with a weather briefing from the port.
Provjerilo da li on svjetiončar sam u redu, on se treba ujutro javiti na vezu i u podne. I onda znači ako se ne javi na vezu, onda naši šalju gliser ili brod i...
His daily climb up the 183 steps of the lighthouse is as much a ritual as it is a responsibility.
Živjeti i raditi na nekom mjestu vezano. I onda se ukazala prilika da, tako da, volim sve u stvari.
He finds fulfillment in his remote lifestyle and doesn't intend to retire just yet. To him, the lighthouse is not just a structure, but a vital part of maritime safety.
Bitno je da ovi koji plove, nautičari koji plove, oni u kartama imaju ubilježeno, recimo, svjetionik Veli rat, karakteristika 20 sekundi. Nijedan svjetionik nije isti, svi se razlikuju. Znači, ovaj izgleda ovako, po danu se razlikuju po izgledu, a po noći po toj karakteristici, po bljeskom na svjetlu.
Despite the solitude, Zvonimir met his wife 14 years ago. They have 2 children. She shares his sentiment about their somewhat solitary life.
I poslala je poruku i onda sam ja odgovorio i onda je počela komunikacija, onda smo se u Zadru počeli viđati, ja bi još u Zadar pa bi...
Osvojio me poslao mi jednu pjesmu. Moja posljednja je prva ljubav i tu sam.
Their children attend school in a nearby village.
Dođu u srednju školu, vjerojatno će sami odlučiti da li žele, da li se više sviđa grad ili po meni je puno bolje. I isto tako i škola.
After dropping his children off at school, he takes the opportunity to socialize.
Dobro jutro.
Sada okej, evo sad se ovdje, skupimo se. Uvijek bude nešto, neka radna akcija, nešto. Šta smo lani radili? Lani smo sređivali groblje, kosili, čistili selo. I onda nakon svega, poslije svake te radne akcije, onda tako. Ispečemo meso.
Rijetko kad će doći ovdje neko da je s nečim nezadovoljan. Jednostavno, onako baš te ponese ta energija, blizina mora. Svjetionik je sam po sebi atrakcija.
A half hour past sunset, the lighthouse rekindles its luminous display, projecting its unique sequence of lights, offering guidance to sailors from various corners of the globe, a tradition it has upheld for over a century. Teddy Mamovic, Across the Balkans.
In Dubrovnik, Croatia's Red History Museum revives daily life under communist Yugoslavia. From Yugo cars to Tito's portraits, Adam Amunu reports.
This is what a typical Dubrovnik family kitchen looked like in communist Yugoslavia. Packaging of cocoa powder and various condiments are just a few of the more than 1,000 items displayed in the Red History Museum in the exhibition titled A Journey Through Croatia's History in Yugoslavia, 1945 to 1991. Visitors are able to engage with the art, design and politics during the non-aligned movement of the period. The non-aligned movement emerged as a response by an organization of countries that did not choose sides between the United States and the Soviet Union during the Cold War. Yugoslavia, under the leadership of Josip Broz Tito, became a founding member of the movement in 1961.
I think what this museum gives is a real balance to Dubrovnik, because yesterday we did all of the walking tours and learned a lot about how history's kind of been rewritten in Croatia, and those decades of communism have sort of been pushed aside, and they've removed statues and references to Tito, and but coming here and sort of seeing the other, the history does exist.
Domaći posjetitelji kroz zadnjih 6 godina što radimo su isto vrlo zadovoljni. Većina naravno reakcija je pozitivna. Kod starijih generacija tu ima i dašak nostalgije svakako, a ja bih rekao da i negativnih reakcija također ima, ali one su jako manjem u broju nego pozitivne reakcije. I naš rad je prepoznat i od strane domaćeg stanovništva koje nas često zove za donacije predmeta, priča, uspomena, fotografija, i muzej naravno svakim danom obogaćuje svoj fundus novim eksponatima.
But these items were once part of everyday life for locals in the area, carrying personal memories before they found a place in the museum, becoming symbols of nostalgia.
Stan je od moje sestre koju je kupila nedavno i kod pražnjenja smo primijetili da ima dosta starih stvari iz vremena zanimljivih muzeju, pa smo ih pozvali ukoliko su zainteresirani da uzmu sve što treba prije nego isprazni se. Pa zanimljivi su mi bili stari lusteri, lampe, pisača mašina, šivača mašina, stari namještaj. Sve je u stvari interesantno, čovjek se prisjeti jer sve smo to nekad mi imali doma.
Beyond home life, one of its most valuable artifacts is a basketball signed by former Yugoslav and Croatian basketball player Drazen Petrovic. For some visitors, cross comparisons extend beyond the realm of culture into social rights.
Definitely you can see a lot of similarity between the history in Croatia and in China. And for example, the 5-year plan, we also have a lot about that, and also can see, for example, the data about how the education and women's rights are raised during the communism times.
Some post-communist countries have turned aspects of their history into tourist attractions, including specialized museums like the Red History Museum. The House of Flowers at Belgrade's Museum of Yugoslavia was built in 1975 as a winter garden for Tito. Today, it's one of the city's most visited tourist attractions, and also the place where Tito is buried. In Bulgaria's Varna, the Retro Museum displays dozens of restored cars which were made between 1943 and 1989, along with other memorabilia.
It was very interesting because we were the last generation of the country. We saw I was born in Bulgaria, and we saw the last period of the communist system, and when we saw the cars, everything which we were using or we were seeing in the street, it was interesting.
Once armed with a fleet of Soviet fighter jets, the Zelova Air Base, carved into a mountain between Bosnia and Croatia, sat idle for decades, attracting small numbers of tourists for years. That all changed in 2016 with the release of a Slovenian mockumentary called Houston, We Have a Problem, that featured the base in the film. It explores what it describes as the myth of the secret multi-billion-dollar deal behind the US's purchase of Yugoslavia's base program in the early 1960s. Since its airing, locals estimate the former airbase draws more than 150,000 people a year.
Znači, revitalizacijom Željeve bi mi stvorili dodatni sadržaj nacionalnom parku, zbog kojega bi turisti mogli ostati dan duže, ali istovremeno da se sam park i ekološki nekakva ekološka opasnost od prevelikog broja turista, park bi se rasteretio na taj način.
While spaces like the Red History Museum might stir some sensitive memories, they also have the power to bring to life the most striking periods in the history of the Balkans. What is certain is that it is a reminder that history is not just found in books. It can be experienced in the things that we leave behind. Adama Munu, across the Balkans.
Thank you for watching TRT World and letting us once again take you across the Balkans. That is all from the team for this week. We hope to see you next time.